Alright guys, so welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial video, and today we are going to talk about an incredibly important concept when it comes to not only just game development in general, but also software development, and something that kind of lays at the bedrock foundation of game development, especially in Unreal Engine 5, and that is the idea of actors and components. So let's go ahead and just look at what I'm talking about when I say an actor and a component. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull up Paint Tool here. So everything inside of a game, when we discuss it, and especially in Unreal Engine 5, we call it an actor. Right? An actor is essentially any type of game object that can be placed in your scene. Pretty straightforward definition. Now, what makes a car, let's say you can place a car in Unreal Engine 5 and a human in Unreal Engine 5. So you have a car and a human. What makes those two things different to the game engine? How does the game engine know something's a car and something's a human? Well, what makes two actors different from each other are two things. The way it looks, so let's go ahead and write all this down. So we have an actor, right? So what defines an actor is the way it looks. So this is considered to be the properties. And I'll just write prop here for short. And the way it behaves, right? B-E-H here, behave. Okay, so we have an actor, which is any type of game object that can be placed in your game. So for example, this cube is an actor, right? This is an actor, right? It's just something that can be placed in the game. And what makes it and this actor is obviously the way it looks and how it behaves. So let's go ahead and do an example of this. Let's say I want to create an actor that's a car. All right, well, if I think about the way a car looks, a car is going to have a color. It's going to have a shape like the body of the car. It's going to have like texture, right? So like its material and like how the car looks, right? Its shininess, all of that kind of stuff. It's going to have a size. It's going to have a position in the world and a direction, like where it's facing or where it's going. This also can be called your orientation as well. And the list goes on and on and on as far as all the things that make the car and look like a car. And when you compile all the properties and you put it together, you get what the car would look like. And then the second thing to this is the behaviors that a car can perform. So a car, for example, can go forwards. So we'll call it accelerate. Car can accelerate. Hope I spelled accelerate right. A car can brake. A car can turn using the steering wheel, right? You can have turn signals, right? Bluetooth. So all of these right here are various things that a car can do, right? And together, if you create everything that a car can do, like it can accelerate, it can brake, it can turn, it can use Bluetooth, it has mirrors that you can look into. You recreate all the things that a car can do, and you create all the things that make a car look like a car, and you put those two things together, well, I would say you would have a car, right? You have something that looks and acts like a car. So I would call that a car actor. And that is the whole concept behind what an actor is. So my next question is, well, how would you make this? Well, if we think about how cars are made in real life, right? We don't just have cars and then just that's it, a car, right? Oftentimes there's various components that make up a car. So let's go ahead and think about what makes up a car. So the various components of a car would be like the body of the car. Excuse me, body, not Bobby. Body. So here's the body of the car, right? So that's the visual shape, right? You would have the hood as well, be part of that. I'm sure I guess these would be tied together. You have the wheels. What kind of tires and wheels you have? Wheels, tire, rims. All these things make up the wheels, right? And you have the body, you have that, you have the paint that was used to make the car. And then if you look at what makes the car go forward, you're going to have an engine. Right? You're going to have brake fluid, all sorts of stuff. And again, all these various components will come together to perform these two things. Ultimately, we want all of these to come together to essentially have our actor have all of these set of properties and all of these set of behaviors. And this is the entire idea behind various actors in your game and the components that make up those actors. This is a very important concept. So again, one more time, just looking at this, here's actors, right? Actors are anything that it can exist inside of a game and are considered to be game objects. Actors are made up of various components, and the components will oftentimes come together to give the actor its properties, the way it looks, and its behaviors, the way it acts. And when you combine all these components together and it satisfies this and this, then I would say you have a car actor. And that is essentially the way that Unreal Engine 5 works. So let's go ahead and now look at this cube here. Right now, the outliner tab again tells you where it is in the world and all the things in your game. But if you look at the details panel here, by the way, if this isn't up for you guys, to get your details panel, it's actually quite easy. I'm not sure it's doing that. But all you'll do here is you'll just come here. I'll exit out both of these. You'll just come here to the windows and you'll go details and you'll click this and here's your details. So as you see here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in for the camera. I can't zoom in Unreal on the side here. Here, we'll do this instead. All right, so all these things over here are the various things that comprise your actor. So the very first one is transform. Transform will describe the position using X, Y, and Z coordinates, the rotation using X, Y, and Z coordinates, and the scale using X, Y, and Z coordinates. And theoretically, these aren't coordinates, these would be called floats. You also have an enumeration here that describes the type of transform it is. So is it static, is it stationary, or is it movable? You also have the static mesh component, which describes its initial shape. So if you didn't want it to be this shape, let's say you wanted it to be a cone, well, you would change the static mesh components. The material defines the color and various other elements of the way the material looks. So if I came here and I changed the color, for example, to blue, and I click save, you'll see right here in a second when it's done. And we'll talk more about this later. You see that it is now the color blue. You can also change how physics affects the object in question, the actor in question. You can also change how collision acts on the object, lighting, how it's rendered, various components here. And as you alter these components, eventually you are going to get the actor that you are trying to get. And that concept, I just want to make sure is crystal clear because it is the foundation and bedrock behind game development in Unreal Engine 5. So one more time through here, guys. Right here is an actor. An actor is something that exists within your game world. An actor is defined by two things. An actor is defined by the way it looks, which we would call the properties, and the way it acts, which are its methods or behaviors. So, for example, in a car, these would all be the things that make a car look the way it does, and then these are all the things that make a car act or behave the way it does. And then you can't just make this all by itself, right? Generally speaking, the way you achieve these properties and behaviors is by putting various components together so that when you combine all these components, you get a car actor. And that is the basics behind some game development. So I hope this video helped anybody who had maybe some questions on this idea of actors and components. This is the high level, maybe not high level, but the conceptual overview for this concept, and we will be using it throughout the course. So please, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and really make sure you have this down before you continue, okay? Without further ado, that's all for this video, and I will see you all in the next one.